Live from Sheldon, Pleasant Grove Stadium, the home of the Huskies on the campus of Sheldon High School, Touchdown Productions, celebrating 16 years of local sports television, is proud to present Nevada Union Minor Football. Tonight, in our third week of the 2012 preseason, your undefeated Nevada Union Miners take on the Pleasant Grove Eagles.
I'm standing here with sports writer from the Union, Walter Ford, and this week, Walter, you had or ultimately today in the paper, you wrote an extensive report on the two players who received the tough decision from the CIF Commissioner's Office. Could you go into that into detail?
Yeah, Cole Hannum and Owen Sparks, transfers from Marysville over the summer, were both denied eligibility to play for the entire football season. That came down from the Commissioner's Office at the Sac Joaquin section. Pete Sacco made that decision, and both boys are looking into appeals, but right now it looks like the decision will hold. And it turns out it was violations of Rule 510E, which is following a coach from one school to another. And that's what they have cited as the reason why they've declined to let them have eligibility this year. And
then, could you go into the relationship between, say, the coach and the players? I mean, what was it?
Yeah, the situation was Brad Sparks was the JV coach at Marysville last season. He has now joined the Miners varsity squad as an assistant coach. Cole Hannum, who has never played for Brad Sparks in high school, also made the transfer when his family moved to Penn Valley. And Owen Sparks, and the Sparks family lives in Browns Valley, decided to make the switch from Marysville to Nevada Union because he saw better opportunities there. But what had come through is that everyone at the Commissioner's Office in the Sac Joaquin section believed that it was under undue influence, and that because the coach left, so did the boys.
Okay. Couldn't the coach quit and make these kids eligible?
I don't believe so. I don't believe that would be the case. I don't think if you quit, you could retroactively make that switch.
So, and it's also my understanding that there was a rule change that maybe the kids could sit out 30 days.
Well, that was newly implemented this year from the CIF. That came in around May, and that's called the sit-out period, and it's about approximately 35 days depending on which season. And that makes it so a kid that does transfer from a school to school over the summer, that when the next season falls around, they'll just sit out for a brief portion of it. But because they were found to be under undue influence, that trumped the sit-out period and made him ineligible to play for the season.
So then ultimately the Commissioner's Office is the judge and jury in this case.
Well, there is an appeals process, like I said earlier,
right.
And that'll be through the CIF office, so there is another body that'll look through it, but that'll be done at the state level and not at the Commissioner's level, and that is a process that would, if it did come to fruition, would be in about a month or so. It takes about 10 days to get receipt of the request for appeals. They have 30 days to respond, and then within 10 days, the answer.
So ultimately, even if they were to go through the appeals process and you were to go that far, I mean, is there enough left in the season that maybe these kids could come back?
If it was done in an expedient way, which I'm not sure if that's the situation or not, but if it was done in a very quick manner, possibly. Okay. But if everything takes, as far as their time limits allow, it looks like it'd be close to the end of the season by the time the boys would get on the field.
And then one other thing that I was kind of curious to know is, do they physically live within Nevada Union School District?
Cole Hannum lives in Penn Valley,
okay, so
which
that's
is in Nevada, and Owen lives in Browns Valley, which is, it's like straddles the line between Marysville and Nevada Union.
Okay.
And the way it was put to me by Will DeBoard from the communications office at the CIF, or at the Sac Joaquin section, is that a student can transfer from one school to another without a change of residence if it's done in the proper manner and he does the sit-out period. But again, what was trumping in this is the Rule 510, where it was under undue influence.
Got it. And have you had an opportunity to speak with the boys?
I spoke with Cole briefly last night. He didn't want to go into too much. I imagine they're still feeling kind of the sting of the ruling.
Mm-hmm. And how about the family? Have you spoken to the coach, the father?
I spoke with Brad extensively. He feels terrible that this has happened to his son. He wishes there was a better way that they could have gone about it, and possibly a different situation where they could have sat down with Gary Sino, the principal at Marysville, and kind of explained why the changes were being made. He feels terrible that his son's losing the season, but he also just beams about this community and how supportive they've been and how they continue to treat his son like one of their own, like a brother.
Even though he's only been here a brief period of time.
A brief period of time, but he says he wants to be here for the rest of his life. He has said this community is the best thing that's happened to his family in a long time.
Okay, so on that note, let's take our walk around the foothills and get you caught up on the. And so here we are. We're looking at the Sierra Foothill League football standings. Does anything jump out at you?
Granite Bay 0-2, Del Oro 0-2. That jumps out at me right off the bat. Last year they were the top 2 teams in the division. Granite Bay and Del Oro both won sections, but like NU have scheduled very difficult preseason matchups before the SFL season. So
ultimately you would think that maybe this preseason schedule standings most likely won't mirror maybe what we'll see, say, in November. More so than that, what I think is it's going to make for a lot of good SFL ball. These kids are playing top quality competition, and so they'll be ready for each other come. Okay, fantastic. So we did report earlier on a Bear River update. We did have a Placer update, which came from Preps Plus Live out of union.com. Right now we're looking at the standings there. Does anything also jump out at you as out of the norm? You know, I briefly got to see Colfax last season. I saw them when they beat up on Bear River pretty bad. I am just awestruck that they're 0-2. That Colfax, since I was a boy growing up in Penn Valley, has been a powerhouse. They have got a good program up there. So starting the season 0-2 is very uncharacteristic of them. Right, and so ultimately right now tonight, what we heard is that Bear River's in a dogfight, a 3-0 game where Bear River came out in game 1 and really put up a lot of big numbers. That I find surprising as well. Coach Savoy knew that they'd be coming up against a tough defense. Woodland had only given up 28 points all season, had only lost by a total of 9 points in both games. They're a talented squad, just hadn't shown it yet. Their defense was going to be a problem, and Savoy knew it. Their offense was also something that Savoy was afraid of, but obviously the Bear River defense has been strong in the first half. And what I've been hearing around the PVL this year is that it should be competitive, and the team that a lot of insiders are talking about is Lincoln. Have you heard anything about Lincoln? We're talking Lincoln of Stockton, or no, Lincoln of Lincoln, California. Oh no, you haven't not. I've not heard of Lincoln. The Fighting Zebras. Yeah, I'm aware of the Zebras. Okay, so I've heard a little about them. They have a speed team. Their front line is apparently predominantly seniors. Okay. And people are saying that it should narrow itself down, and it very well could end up as a Placer Lincoln matchup for the title. Well, and that would be a nice little shakeup in the division. I mean, Placer is always a perennial power, but it'd be nice to see a team like Lincoln, who usually spends most of his time at the bottom of the PVL, rising to the top. It's always good to see parity in the league. That's true. Okay, so let's flip over to the volleyball, girls action. Have you had an opportunity to get out and take a peek at any of the games? I have. I watched Bear River the other day, and I've been talking closely with Marco Salcedo, the Nevada Union coach, and I've been talking closely with Matt McDonald, the Bear River coach, and they both are optimistic about these year's teams, but more so they have put their girls in just a gauntlet of difficult teams to start this season. And on this schedule that we see, have they matched up against anybody in division, or is there a matchup that's coming that maybe that you've heard about that might be on the near horizon? Well, the Granite Bay Nevada Union game is always big when it comes to volleyball. Those two teams go back and forth year after year, and I know Marco has a special place in his heart where he wants to get those victories over Granite Bay. As the boys coach, he lost to them several times last season, and so he's looking for a little revenge. Absolutely. Okay, good. So we've touched on the Sierra Foothill League. Now we're looking at the PVL. We're looking at Placer, 3 wins out of the gate. We're looking at Bear River standing at 5-5 with 3 consecutive losses. Well, the losses against strong teams. It was at the Reno tournament, and then against St. Francis, which is the top team in the section. And then the interesting thing about Placer is I've not get to see them with my own eyes, but talking with Forest Lake Christian coach Travis Smith, he was telling me that Placer, and they play Placer, they've seen them lots of times, is the best team he's ever seen them have. Wow.
He said that they are absolutely impressive, and he expects a lot of big things from them this year.
So then ultimately we should, those top two teams that we're looking at there very well could hold maybe through
absolutely.
the season, and
absolutely.
that should be the showdown.
Even though Bear River has dropped the last three, I expect them to turn it around. They're a veteran squad, a lot of seniors, and a lot of talent on their team.
I did go and have the opportunity to see Bear River play Granite Bay. They lost 3-1. But the parents and the coaches, they walked away from the gym and they said, you know, we did lose. That we lost to a very good team, and the parents were telling me that Granite Bay is number 2 in the section.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Matt McDonald said the same thing to me. He was very proud of their effort that night. They played them tough, and Matt does that on purpose. He does it every year. He schedules them a lot of difficult teams before they get into the PVL season.
Okay, so next week we're looking at the Miners playing against the Chico Panthers. I haven't really looked into the Panthers, out that far. Do you know anything about them?
I spoke with a colleague a former colleague of mine out of the Reading paper, the Reading Searchlight, and he told me the Chico Panthers have a pair of quarterbacks. Their first quarterback was all league last season, but went down with an injury. The second guy came in and went 16 for 16. So they got their passing game down, and they also have a wide receiver who is big, fast, and strong. So the secondary will be tested next week.
So ultimately, what we saw in the first half was 2 passing touchdowns to the same spot. So we're going to probably need to see the Miners pick it up and make some adjustments.
Absolutely. Well,
okay, sounds good. And so we have 8 ways to watch this. We have the NCTV Comcast Channel 11. We have Suddenlink Channel 16. You can tune into it at 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, 8 and 11 on Saturday. And very good. You can also find us on NevadaCountyTV.org. We have broadband ACTV Channel 20. And we have a new YouTube channel that you can find us at Game of the Week.
That's going to be a wrap. For Marty Mortensen, Gil Dominguez, and the entire Touchdown Productions team, this is Jim Adams reminding you that you've been watching exclusive coverage of Nevada Union Miner football. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.